Okay, we're live. We're live, and I don't want to say jive. I don't know what rhymes with live and has to do with the election. Um, we're live, and yeah, I got nothing.
Either do
So,
I.
pardon me. So I will just commence with our usual introduction and three. Ooh. Oh, I'm hearing myself back because that's crazy. I've got the video up in the other. That'll definitely throw you off. Okay. Should be better now. All right. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1, and welcome to episode 235 of the Nerd Stravaganza podcast, where whether you're a member of a bag of deplorables or a follower of a crooked politician, you're welcome to listen anytime. I'm Make America Great Together again, Tom.
I'm sick of it all, Brian.
I'm delete every email possible, Cam.
And in case you are fortunate enough to have been living under a rock for the past year, we're going to dance around the heated political climate of the day as we kind of joke about the election and what we could do to make it better for nerds overall. We will refrain from espousing real political views, I'm sure. Although I sometimes I feel like somebody's political views just listening to them speak for a couple of minutes, even on the topic. So you may suss that out, listeners. We apologize if that's how it goes down. But I'll tell you what, you can't go wrong by voting for us on a weekly basis. And you can do so by checking us out on iTunes, giving us favorable reviews and maximum stars. And with that said, let's begin the episode in our usual Nerd Stravaganza fashion with our weekly Geekly weekly update, which is really more of a dirt digging mission to find skeletons in our closet to use against us in political campaigns this week.
Yes.
So, corrupt candidate Cam, what have you got hiding that we need to unearth that the American people deserve to know about?
Way too much to recount in a 1 hour show, but let's see. I did some gaming at the Adventure Game Store this week, as always, our great sponsor. I picked up a few board games for my collection. I've been doing a lot of the virtual flea market stuff online. I mentioned it last year. Every year, BGG Con, which is actually in a couple weeks in Dallas. I'll be going there with Yellow. And they do they basically have this big virtual flea market where there's literally 10,000 games on there, and you go on and you bargain, and basically you can just list games, and then everyone meets up at a specific time on one of the nights in a big room, and you guys swap your games for cash, and you go home happy basically. And so I've got my list of purchases growing and growing by the day as I look forward to BGG Con. Also had my Halloween party, my annual Spooktacular on Saturday, which was a big hit. We had about 40, 50 people here, which was a good time. I know, Tom, you were able to make it with Abby. I hope you guys had a good time.
We did. Yeah, it was awesome.
Her dessert or your guys' dessert was a big hit,
Nice.
Both at the party and then on Monday when Suzanne took it to work. All the teachers at her school were like, "Oh my God!" They loved it, so that was cool. And then let's see. I've been doing. My reading continues. It's been quite a while where I've been on a streak of reading through Overdrive. I did. This is actually my fiance made me do it. Well, she didn't make me do it, but she was listening to the audiobook for The Girl on the Train. And we share our Overdrive account, basically. And so it was already on there, on our account. And I was like, well, when she was done, I was like, all right, well, let me give it a shot. So I listened to that audiobook, actually. And it was really good. I enjoyed it. It wasn't, sci-fi or fantasy or anything like that. It was just a good old-fashioned thriller. You know what I mean? But
What was the name of it?
The Girl on the Train. It is, I believe, it is the same writer that did that Gone Girl book. Do you know what I'm talking about? The Gone Girl. It was well, Girl on the Train is actually it's in the theater right now as a movie.
Okay.
And that's why my fiance wanted to listen to the book or whatever. But I believe the same author that did the book Gone Girl, which then was made into a movie with Ben Affleck and was actually a pretty good movie. I believe they're the same author. Yeah, it was a pretty good. It's a pretty good book. Very, a little bit slow here and there, and I had it figured out pretty much before the end, but whatever. And then I started the book after that. I started my own book after that. Star Wars Bloodline by Claudia Gray. Have you read that one, Brian?
No.
No, yeah, I didn't hear you.
No, I haven't gotten it yet.
Hello, Brian, you there? Oh, sorry. Yeah,
really?
Star Wars Bloodline. I just started it though. I'm only maybe a couple chapters in, so but so far it's good. I'd read the first two Chuck Wendig books, the Aftermath and Life Debt, and they sort of crisscross with each other. I think Bloodline is set sort of after Wendig's books, but before episode 7. And so, because they reference like several characters in this book that are characters in Wendig's books, but they're like older in her book. So that's all. I'm assuming it's later in time based on that, but it's good so far. So I'm chewing on that, and that's it. That's been my week.
Awesome. I definitely need to give Overdrive a shot. It's one of the things I swore I'd get to this week, but didn't. Brian, over to you. What sort of backroom dealings have you got to report on? Now's the time to come clean before your political opponents find out.
Well, assuming you can hear me, I don't know. I'm kind of like down on television lately. It actually bothers me that I'm watching so much of it because I was never a huge television watcher before, but I kind of got into this habit of DVRing everything and just watching it at my leisure. And oh my God, I've got like 15 shows. And I don't know, like I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I was really excited about Westworld and Dirk Gently. Are either of you watching Dirk Gently?
No.
They're not similar shows, but they're both kind of doing the same thing. And I think it's kind of a cheap trick. I'm actually I think it's official to say like disappointed in Dirk Gently. It's just nonsensical, like random, and it's kind of entertaining and it's funny at times, but there's just nothing connecting scene to scene. And I think we're up to like episode 3 now, and I don't know, like I want more to keep me interested than just what the fuck is going to happen next. Like it feels like a cheap trick, like almost like Westworld is kind of like not really that interesting, but I'm so invested in the whys and the hows and everything. Like I don't think I'd keep watching if I had any clue what the hell was going on.
So what you're
I just gave up on it.
Yeah, I'm right behind you, man.
Well, so you need like you need at least some, how do I put it? Just hinting that cool things are about to happen over and over again is not compelling enough to keep you sticking around and waiting.
I really do compare Dirk Gently to Doctor Who, and that may not be a fair comparison, but it's just my ideas. I don't remember a single episode, or at least a single story arc of Doctor Who, just leaving me like, I have no idea what just happened. Like, sometimes it was like confusing, and sometimes it was part of a bigger plan, but like each episode could be watched, could be viewed, and you'd just be like, oh, okay, there was payoff there. It may not have been like the big payoff. Dirk Gently is just trading on its quirkiness, and it's getting old fast.
Christmas special, even with the tangerine.
I see, that was the thing though, because it did wrap up, right? Like, that story arc was bigger than the single episode with the tangerine and with all that kind of stuff. But like, there was a story for that, tale.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of, if you haven't seen Dirk's Gently, I guess there's no explaining it, but there's just like shit happens, and it's mostly unrelated, and there's aliens, and there's time travel, and there's just no reason why. And now there's like 3 people just like Dirk Gently, and I don't know, It's weird. Some woman had her brain transplanted with a dog. Why not? I mean, yeah.
So compare that to Westworld then. Does that make Westworld look better in your mind, or?
It's kind of doing the same thing. I think they're both in the same boat, which is about to lose me, because, like, sure, there's all of these crazy questions about Westworld, but that's really the only reason I'm watching. I'm not actually interested in it anymore.
Yeah. I'm a little irritated with. That's kind of what I was hinting at. Like, there's a lot of like knowing looks exchanged between characters, and a lot of like, things are about to hit the fan, and here it, like, there's a lot of building towards some like momentous event. But I don't know. I don't really like episodes of kind of implied buildup, and then they're going to leave us on some cliffhanger at the end of the season. I just have a feeling it's going to be a disappointing season.
Yeah.
I read a little bit about this, and I don't know. Maybe it's not for us, or maybe it's like something we're going to grow into. But the goal now isn't to get your attention like 1 hour a week. It's to get your attention 1 hour a week, and then for you to talk about it the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And what they want is they actually want the people to have these crazy fan theories and talk about it and go viral and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think I enjoy that. I'd rather you guys actually have the ideas.
I would blame like Lost for that. Do you remember when Lost was a big thing? Like,
yeah.
I actually ended up not watching that show because I got tired of hearing people talk about it.
Really? Oh man, Lost is like my top 5.
I've heard it's
all time.
Yeah. I've heard it's amazing, but I just got so tired of like, what's going to happen this week? I wonder. And you're like, it was kind of.
It's on Netflix. Binge it. It's still, actually, I just took my fiance had never seen it. We binged it like this year, and it's still awesome. You know what I mean? Like, it still holds up even 10, 15 years later. Like, so now that the fan theories are all gone, you can watch it without having to worry about it.
Let me ask you this. Go ahead, Brian.
I kind of feel that's what's going to happen to Westworld and Dirk Gently too. Like, it's going to suck, like, to experience it live, but in the end, you're going to be like, oh, just binge it and it'll all make sense. Which I don't know if that's successful for a television show.
Yeah, it depends on because I mean nowadays like a lot of shows are just coming out just on like Netflix and on Amazon. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, if they can make enough episodes where they can get a lucrative licensing deal with one of those platforms, I mean, I think it's still successful.
Well, it's successful for streaming, like it's successful for binging, but I don't know, like Dirk Gently, it's been, I guess, 2 weeks between all the episodes, and I don't know, like I couldn't even begin to tell you what's going on, like even with all the reading and everything.
Yeah.
And every episode of Westworld, just more questions and more, oh, maybe it's this, like...
Yeah, I mean, that show, honestly, though, like, I wanted to like it so bad. And then I watched the first episode, and I was like, okay, I get it. they've got to sort of set it up, and they've got to, whatever. So it didn't grab me right away. Then I watched the second episode, and I was like, all right, still not really feeling it. Then after the third episode, I was like, all right, dude, 3 strikes you're out.
And we're like halfway through the season now, aren't we? I mean,
yeah, it's like 5 or 6, episode 5 or 6 at this point now.
They got to start paying off eventually.
Yeah.
I'll have to give Lost another watch, because I couldn't watch it either. I started watching, I don't even remember how far I got, 3-4 episodes of the first, when it was brand new.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, I don't know, it just did not hold my attention.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, I've watched it probably 3 times, like the whole season 3 times. And it's still good. To me anyway.
May have to give it a chance. I just basically remember one guy coming into work and saying, like, "Oh, they're all dead. They're like in purgatory or heaven or something. They're all dead." And the show creator saying, "No, that's not it. That's not it." And then when the show ended, that ended up being it. Which that made me like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like you said though, Tom. Like, I mean, everyone does that now. Like, Star Wars, Star Trek, the freaking what was that? Game of Thrones. Like, everyone's got like these freaking all their theories, and they typically one of them ends up being correct. You know what I mean? If you throw enough shit out there, something's gonna stick. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if somebody's telling a pretty good story, you could kind of guess where it's going. Yeah, if they're actually doing foreshadowing and everything. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
While I'm bitching, I'm going to bitch about something else. I've been using Overdrive, and I actually came across probably the 3rd book like I have ever touched that I don't think I'm going to be able to finish. And all 3 of those books are masterpieces that are hugely raved about, that people just love. And for some strange reason, like, I just can't, I don't know. The first 2 were Sword of Shannara and Wheel of Time.
Uh-huh.
Right, yeah.
And this one, not quite as big, but like probably more trumpeted. Have you guys ever heard of River of Gods?
I have not, no.
It's I think it's by MacDonald. I can't remember his name now. But it's supposed to be like this. It's kind of like the Indian Android's Dream of Electric Sheep.
Oh.
Whose movie name I can't remember at the moment. But I'm 24 pages in, and all that's happened is a body's floating down the river, and they're talking about like all this stuff. Like, nothing has happened. It's just 24 pages of background scenery. And I'm getting a little pissed at it. I really don't want to have to wait another 2 or 3 episodes to have any idea what's going on in a book of all things.
Did you say it's an Indian Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Mm-hmm.
Like from India or
Blade Runner? Thank you.
Oh.
No, like
native.
Not native, like tech support.
India, yeah, from India. Okay, yeah, okay. That's interesting.
And I don't know. I think I see what they're going for, because, I mean, I don't know shit about India, and it's kind of interesting, and it's kind of like, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to go for like the horror of like, seriously, this is a city of like millions of people, and there's a corpse bobbing in the river, and no one gives a fuck because it happens every day. Like, I think they're trying to set that up, but I don't know. I think enough of that. Like, I think maybe 10 pages. I don't know about 24 with no signs of it stopping.
Well, the what do you call it? What is the massive river there that's so?
The Ganges?
Yeah, the Ganges is a large river, so the body has quite a way to travel. So,
what's the other book? You said there's 3, so that's 2. What was this? What was the other one? I'm just curious.
Depending on which one you missed, Wheel of Time or Sword of Shannara.
Oh, Wheel of Time. Okay, gotcha.
God, I don't even know how to describe Wheel of Time. Like,
I've heard nothing but the best about that. Are you not into it?
No, not at all. Like, I mean, I was really determined to get into it. I probably got, I think, like 600 pages. And I was just like, I mean, this is self-flagellation. I'm not. I mean, I'm turning pages, but I'm not enjoying this like at all.
That's too bad. I'm glad you mentioned Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, though, in your discussion. That I found that movie, or both the movie, that movie. I found that book disturbing. Like, I came away very disturbed. So Blade Runner is a lighthearted romp compared to the book on which it's loosely based.
Yeah, they always are.
Anyway, sorry that those reads have been disappointing. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Brings it around to me. What have I got going on? I've been busy again, so not a lot of super nerdy stuff. I did get to go to the Spooktacular Cam Halloween party, and that was a good time.
It was.
We got there late, Cam. Apologies. We were actually double booked on Halloween parties, which, I didn't think I was that popular.
No worries, man. I know you're a hot commodity. It's all good.
It's funny, though. I ran into a guy who I hadn't seen in years. And he's a guy that does a lot of independent game design and stuff like that. Like, I actually played some games he was working on. I was telling him all about you and how you're in the industry now, Cam, and so on.
in the biz, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I got roped into this, like, not roped in, I shouldn't say that. He's like, I got involved in this pretty in-depth historical, like, wargaming thing, blah, blah, blah. He's telling me all about it. I'm like, well, if you ever want to play some, like, lighter fare, just have a good time. We game at the Adventure Game Store. He's like, wait, what? The Adventure Game Store? I'm like, yeah. Well, the guy who he's playing this really in-depth game with is Glenn, who...
that's funny.
For our listeners who don't know, the Adventure Game Store is our unofficial... Or, well, no, not unofficial, our sponsor and our gaming haunt. And Glenn, I think, is a partner in the enterprise, or was, or something like that. So,
yeah.
Just thought it was interesting that this guy's actually playing with him on a regular basis. And apparently this is an in-depth game. They're
not doing Fire and Sword, are they?
I didn't even ask him the name of it, to tell you the truth.
That would have been awesome. That would have been like...
Why, is that pretty
really
brutal?
Tying it together. Well, some of the guys from AGS, like, published that, don't they? Like, they actually brought it to the States.
Maybe.
Tomash, I think.
Tomash and Vaughn was involved.
Oh, that's right. I remember Tomash giving me, like, all the ins and outs. It was very intricate and interesting. I'm going to ask... I'll
ask the name for it next time you see him.
Yeah.
Next Halloween.
Yeah. I know they're playing at Glenn's house, so that may be where it's going down.
Oh, well.
Wow. Anyway, small world. I just thought I'd mention that. I also told him if he had any cool gaming ideas. I know a guy who's, wink, wink, in the industry.
Yeah. I shoveled the elephant shit showbiz, right?
Yeah, anyway, apart from attending that cool party, just kind of keeping busy, trying to squeeze in a little gaming, but I really haven't had a lot of time. And life's just been, like, crazy busy. Oh, did I tell you I had my little cell phone exchange last week, that adventure?
Yeah, your subpoena?
Yeah. My paperwork passed muster, and I just gave him a blood sample and paid my deductible. And they actually sent me a new phone, but the UPS guy came today and I wasn't home. So the UPS guy left a slip in the door. I'm like, oh, he'll come back tomorrow. No. Now they drop your package off at some business that's a UPS, like, access point, and then you have to go pick it up. So how convenient.
I gotta tell you, I don't know how the hell they vet those things. My access point it's like one of those not really a 7-Eleven. It's like a 6:30 to 9:30. Like,
yes,
they sell, like, illegal fireworks and body parts out of the back.
Yeah, I think UPS must just pay the business owners a certain amount of money to participate. Because I walked in and it was definitely this kind of lower end mobile, independent mobile device store where there's, like, advertisements for call Haiti and all this stuff. So it's obviously appealing to there's no way for me to make this not sound bad, but definitely not a place with a well-to-do clientele, it would seem. So I'm thinking maybe it's a nice way to augment your income by volunteering to be one of these places and basically taking on some work for UPS. But yeah, they didn't put it in the Apple store or anything. I couldn't help but note. Anyway, the guy was nice enough. My package wasn't there. Turns out, not only is it not delivered to your house and you have to go get it, you have to wait till the next day, afternoon, and then it'll show up. So I was like, oh, this is great. The guy was really, he's like, I'm so sorry, man. It's not your fault. UPS, like, why are they making me do their job?
Yeah.
Why are they making you do their job?
Well, I mean, they should try at least like 2 or 3 times. Not like just, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it felt a little bit too like they kind of just gave up. Like, nah. But maybe if you're the shipper, that's like a cheap option. Like, hey, do you want to do this? Like, deliver once, then it's their problem option. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
privatization's always good for the consumer.
Yeah, there you go. There's the free market delivering a superior product. It make my stuff up. I used to get pissed when the post office used to make me do that, and now they don't. Now they go out of their way to deliver to me. Anyway, new phone with a non-cracked screen, so I can use my Gear. No, what's the portable one? Gear VR. Again, so there you go. There's the nerdy angle on it. I'll be able to.
Do you finally have that cord that you sent back, or you?
The cord, was it for the Gear VR that I sent the cord back, or? Oh, you mean the broken part of my phone?
Yeah.
No, that was my screen.
Oh, okay. I thought that was something that you like got sent back or accidentally got rid of, or whatever.
No. Everything's. I have everything I need for the phone, but the phone itself. So hopefully tomorrow, and then I'm going to make a point of getting into VR and experiencing that world. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I feel like I could do another VR episode, but let's not. Let's instead pass the final gate into tonight's episode. That final gate being the gate to the gauntlet of news.
Yes. A lot of non-election based news.
Nice.
Deadpool director, his name is Tim Miller, who made a pretty good movie. I enjoyed Deadpool. I think you guys did too, right?
That's one of my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, he has been tapped to do the live action / animation mashup Sonic the Hedgehog movie. That's coming out. Yeah. Don't know if that'll be a train wreck or a triumph. We'll see. Speaking of little animated characters, Pokemon Go is not dead yet. They actually got a huge revenue boost over the past week or two. They rolled out a Halloween-themed Pokemon set of characters, and so everyone went crazy for them and started playing Pokemon Go again, at least for a couple weeks. And they basically almost tripled their revenue over the last couple weeks because of their Halloween update. So good for them. And speaking of dangerous things to do on your phone, Tom and Brian, when you guys drive, you don't text, right? You don't Facebook, you don't do anything while you're driving, right?
No, kind of, because driving requires undivided attention, so no.
Right, of course. No one would ever look at their phone.
Never.
Well, a car insurance company in the UK, and I'm sure insurance companies here in the States will pick up soon after, have come up with an algorithm that basically sniffs out your social media posts and develops the algorithm basically can predict whether or not you're a safe driver or not. So they basically get access to all your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those posts, and it analyzes it somehow, spits it out, and says, yes, this person is a good driver, or no, this person is not a good driver, and that will determine your car insurance rates.
What?
Yeah.
We're really letting computers control too much of our life.
Yeah.
If we could just take driving away out of our hands, then we could just put an end to this already.
Well, it is it's voluntary. So like, I think like if you let them use it, like if you give them access, you have the chance of getting like additional savings. You know what I mean? So they're basically saying you can save up to like $400, $500 a year on your premiums if you let us check your social media activity.
Yeah.
I'll say what I've said before. If you're not the consumer, you're the product.
Yep.
They don't want access for the from out of the goodness of their heart.
Yep. And they've taken great pains to say that, listen, this is a one-time thing. We don't continue to monitor it. We just look at it, and then that's it. It's a snapshot. Anything after that, we don't look at. But, I mean, do you really believe that,
No. No, I don't.
So
I think my phone spies on me now.
Yeah. So Big Brother is sniffing us out and watching over us. And speaking of sniffing us out and watching over us, scientists have created plants that can detect explosives. So they got these spinach plants, and they implanted them with these like carbon nanotubes. And researchers basically have a way of getting a signal from these spinach plants that can detect whether or not there's these bomb-making, whatever, emissions in the air. So the idea being that they could like put them all around, not just airports or hard targets, but like soft targets as well. And if it detects any type of bomb-making materials or anything like that, it just shoots an email to the head of security that says, "Hey, we've detected this carbon or whatever it is, this compound, and you guys need to check it out."
I'm more impressed with emailing plants.
Yeah.
That sounds well. We'll get to how the plants email anyway, but I actually would really prefer, like, sir, you can either go through the X-ray scanner or just walk through the spinach patch. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if they had something called Spinach Patch Kids, which were like these like kill robots, and if they detected the explosives on you, they just hatched out of the spinach and attacked and killed you.
Yeah. Well, they're called nitroaromatic plants.
Nice.
And basically, these nitroaromatics come through the soil naturally, and they trigger these embedded nanotubes in the plants, and then they produce a fluorescent signal that can be detected with an infrared camera. And then the leaves can also emit like a signal that controls the detection system that then notifies whoever by email.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Although I could see that leading to some discrimination charges, like just based on like whatever landscaping happens to be. You know how they have the little planters in the airports? Oh, I see. You want me to walk by those plants, huh?
Yeah. Right. I think more. I mean, I think airport security will be what it is. They probably will just put those like in like sort of like other areas where they're just like sort of ambiently like checking, where you're not really going through a checkpoint, but just has it there. I'm thinking more along the lines of like, like theme parks. Like we were talking about Disney the other day with those people that brought those guns in. Theme parks, like stadiums, ballpark stadiums or whatever, things like that. That would be kind of like perfect for that. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we've got a signal in quadrant 6 and someone could go check it out or whatever.
That is kind of cool.
That would be pretty cool. And speaking of sniffing things out, a patient caught on fire during a abdominal like sort of colon surgery in Japan this week. And they're saying it's because she farted during the surgery.
I've heard about this, yes.
Yikes.
So I guess they were using some sort of laser on her colon or whatever, and then I guess she let one go, and it apparently like burned her up from like the torso down pretty badly. Some people are calling shenanigans, saying like, listen, this, like I think one guy was like an actual surgeon that does the same kind of thing. He's like, listen, I've done thousands of these surgeries. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? People fart all the time. It's not going to burn them up like that, So who knows what really happened? But they're blaming the noxious fumes that were coming out of the woman, just like the noxious fumes that are coming out of our candidates.
Oh, good one. Good
one. Which segues us to our topic. So Tom, why don't you take that away?
All right, I will. And yeah, you would need an asshole surgeon to operate on the, never mind. Okay. To improve the field of candidates this time around, I would say.
Yes.
That's that. Talking, of course, of the two leading candidates, there are some third-party candidates that I find less objectionable. But yeah, That said, this being the nerd extravaganza, we being nerds and therefore completely oblivious to the fact that you actually have to be a candidate to be write-inable, thought maybe we would discuss some write-ins of our own. It does turn out, I read an article a little bit before the show, that there's a record amount of activity on Google for people looking up how to write in a candidate or write in candidates.
Yeah.
I think the results of this election, regardless of the outcome, are going to be surprising. I think you're going to see a lot of people, if they gather statistics on write-ins especially, who just were like, no, I think not. And they either voted third party or just wrote somebody in. And so we should give them some ideas, I guess, for who we think they should write in. Never mind. Never mind that if they're not official candidates, it does no good. So before we get into that, though, I'll say this. I shared a link with you guys about a party that was around like in the early part of the century that struck me as kind of pretty interesting. I think it was a technocrat party or something. Technocratic party. Let me look that up really quick while we're talking. The technocracy movement. And there were a number of reasons why it didn't gain traction. I'm not suggesting anything like this was a panacea, but their basic premise is we're gonna put like scientists and engineers and stuff in charge instead of these like slimy politicians, and using their keen technical minds, they're gonna take a very analytical approach to fixing what's wrong with society, very logically and without partisan bickering. Seems kind of naive, but something tells me the candidates we pick tonight are going to line up with like, there's a nerdy candidate that does cool gadgetry and stuff. Let's vote for that person. So we'll see how it plays out. But not saying with this we're building a technocratic ticket here, but we might be.
We'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, that said, who wants to go first? Who wants to come up with somebody that they think would be a cool presidential candidate? And again, this is all in fun. You don't really need to know their platform, and they don't have to have experience.
I would really like to go the way of that one. I think it's an Alaskan town, and they just had like Bill the cat be their mayor because no one wants to bother. For like 20 years now, they just keep electing cats. So we just like elect some nonsensical figurehead and just not have a leader?
Just have the executive branch just not do anything for the most part?
They haven't for 8 years. I mean, and for the record, that's not to pick on Obama. That's just saying our system's fucked and the only motivation people have is to make sure the other party doesn't get to accomplish anything.
Well, that's true, but assuming somehow they got past like strangling each other to death, the two parties, would you need somebody in there to at least put a signature to the legislation they sent over to the executive branch?
You can put a paw print.
Or a paw print stamped in ink. Cam, you know about how the government works. Don't you need an executive branch to actually like say, yeah, okay, I signed this?
Yeah, I mean, you need a commander-in-chief, I guess. So I guess you need someone that was, there's always that pesky constitution, It needs to be a human over the age of whatever, 35, 45, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, it can't be worse than these guys, right?
I can't imagine. No, but
you don't got to worry about the nuclear football.
Yeah, I don't. I need to actually research the nuclear football a little. I don't want this person having the launch codes. I mean, I know they're commander in chief, but could the president really just like arbitrarily launch a nuclear strike like without getting permission from Congress? I know that they can engage in certain military action without congressional approval up to a certain, I think it's 90 days or something, that they can like wage a war essentially without getting Congress on board.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of the nuclear strikes. I mean, I know that they have the access codes and the key, and they have the mobile football that they call it, that they take around with them so that they can at any time, spring into action and launch missiles. I mean, I would assume that if there was like a launch, or there was like, say, space aliens came in and were attacking us, they could probably just do it, you know, or maybe they need like a secondary, like sort of like in Star Trek where it's like Riker, Alpha, 7, you know what I mean? Like they need like 2 of the bridge crew or whatever, you know what I mean? To enact the self-destruct mechanism. I don't know. I mean, I would hope that it would need at least 2 people, you know.
Great metaphor for the nuclear option, by the way.
Yeah. I would hope that they would need 2 people, but who knows?
Yeah, well, if that's the case, you'd think the media would make a little something more out of it, because that's one of the things, like, do you want this person with the nuclear launch codes? Well, not really. I'd rather nobody had them, but I'd rather we lost them, but and the whole world lost theirs too. But
yeah,
I don't think. I love hyperbole as much as the next guy, but I don't actually think that either of them would just like rush pell-mell into a nuclear exchange with some adversary. Do you? I mean, do you think that they're... You could disagree, but do you think that could actually happen?
No, because they love their lives too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trump loves being a rich billionaire that pushes people around. Like, he doesn't want a apocalypse world to live in. You know what I mean? Same thing with Hillary. I mean, she's running around doing her thing. Like, these people don't like that. I'm not worried so much about the, you know, knock on wood, the nuclear thing. I'm more worried about them like running the fucking country into the ground in terms of like just making it better for them and their cronies. You know?
Yeah. That's a real fear. That's definitely a real fear.
Yeah.
I think it could be argued that either or both of the candidates are pretty consistently self-serving. I don't think
for sure.
You don't spend a life in politics. Sadly, you don't spend a life in politics because you want to serve the country. You spend a life in politics in part because you like the power, you like the access it gives you to wealth and influence. And I don't think for a second that maybe Hillary Clinton started off. I speak of her because Trump doesn't have a political background, but maybe she did start off as a young idealist years ago. But she certainly has stayed in the game, even after her husband went through everything he did, because she likes something about it. And there may still be a sort of impulse to serve there, but I think there's also an impulse to be in power.
Yeah, I mean, studies show that certain personality types are drawn to those kind of jobs. You know, you can't be in those jobs or excel in those jobs unless you have sort of that narcissistic, I know better than everyone sort of mentality. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it can work out to the good if at heart that person is a good person and they really try to affect change, but or even just do what they're supposed to be doing for their constituents rather than just trying to keep elected and, you know, make their cronies fat. But most of the time that leads to the hunger for more.
Yeah, agreed. And I suppose a similar thing probably happened with Trump. He has not really served in public office, but he's accomplished a lot and wants to take the next step, which I guess when you're that wealthy and accomplished is the presidency. So
yeah, I mean, it gets to a point where, I mean, what's money at that? You know, when you're in the billions, like money really isn't that big of a, you know, it's just a plaything at that point. Now you want the power. You know what I'm saying?
The real power, you might say.
Yeah,
Quote Jack Trick, to quote Jack Chick of Chick Tracts fame. The real power.
Yeah, they want the power to over life and death, which is something that they, you know, money is, you know, can only take you a certain way, a certain distance.
For people who don't get that reference, see last week's episode.
Yes.
Yeah, so given that we don't really think that either of them are pure servants of the people, for some reason, the type of candidates I would envision strike me as being more so servants of the people or servants of mankind who seek to better mankind, that kind of thing. Putting aside animals, who I agree would probably do a bang-up job, as Brian suggested. One of you guys, I'm going to steal this. One of you guys mentioned like Elon Musk. Was that you, Cam, before the show?
Yes, I did.
I mean, here's a guy who is also wealthy beyond what you could believe, has accomplished great things. And what does he want to do? He wants to take us to Mars. He wants to solve climate change. He wants to come up with alternative power schemes. Are these money-making enterprises for some people? Yes, but he's like giving away the technology as he is, letting his own businesses prosper. That strikes me as pretty selfless, I think. Is that why you maybe nominated him, Cam?
Yeah, he just seems like a guy that is enlightened in terms of a forward-thinking manner. Yes, obviously. I mean, I think he made his money originally with PayPal, right? He founded PayPal, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then he parlayed that into all these other projects where I'm sure he's still making money on, but it's stuff that he wants to better the world with. I mean, he's putting out electric cars. He's looking for alternative solar, alternative energies, especially solar. He's trying to take us to Mars. He's trying to do all this other, really, really cool stuff for the planet and for future generations, not for this generation. I feel like he's a lot more forward thinking than these guys who are just thinking about, what can what do you, instead of what can I do for you, they're thinking, what can you guys do for me? What am I going to get out of office rather than what can I do when I'm in office?
Yeah, I think actually that really sums it up. Yeah, like how effective can I be in this office serving the people versus how effective can the office be enriching me? That's a wonderful way to put it. I think I'm trying to think of another example in the same vein of somebody who's like wildly successful who might also be such a great candidate. I mean, there are other like tech bazillionaires out there, but none of them strike me as who are also pursuing things like space exploration, but they're definitely also not at all apologetic about like seeking out riches. You know what I mean?
I would give notice at least to Gates.
Wow.
He may not be doing he's focusing on the less fortunate, I feel, as opposed to like taking us way forward, but there's a lot of catching up to do, so that's pretty significant too.
Yeah, so this is a guy who is vilified for his evil Windows monopoly at one point in time, and well, maybe Microsoft did achieve some unfair market leverage or whatever, but yeah, now you can't argue that the guy's doing great works around the world and great for a lot of humanity. And frankly, when you're sitting on that kind of a pile of cash, I think that's the right thing to do.
You talk about the cash and the power and everything. He has so much influence that is not monetary that, I mean, sure, it kind of goes hand in hand, but at some point, like, it's more important than him being able to say, like, I'm just going to spend money on this.
So his value as a spokesperson, as an influential person, as somebody who people look at in a almost Edisonian sense.
Yeah, kind of. I can just imagine, like, I don't want to say children, but youth looking up to him and admiring him and saying, I'm going to go into infectious diseases because I believe in that guy and I want to work for him. I want to continue his work. Like, he's a figurehead beyond being able to, finance anything.
That's a really interesting way of looking at it, Brian. And I think something that we don't really take into account. Can you see a kid looking at Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton and being inspired, like, I'm going to be just like that person?
No.
Right. Me neither. Possibly Obama. Like, I've always found Obama kind of likable and kind of upbeat and inspiring. That's just my personal preference. I don't see any hint of that in either of these two.
No, they are not. They don't have that like awe of like when you think of, when you think of like regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, when you think of like JFK, I mean, he was like he had that aura. You think of Ronald Reagan, he had that like aura. Like it just seems like the last 5 or 6 presidents have just been mediocre at best.
Yeah, and Can you see? Okay, can you see like here? We'll paint like a nerdy picture. You've got Hillary Clinton pointing to Mars. Let's go there, humanity together. I'm not inspired. You've got Donald Trump, same pose, pointing at Mars. Like, what's his name? Cochran from Star. We brought this up a couple episodes ago. What was his name?
Zephram Cochran.
Yeah. Either of them in the Zephram Cochran role, pointing to space and leading us. I'm not inspired, and I don't really think that they would have the passion or the insight to lead us. And Mars is just like one frontier, but to lead us into tomorrow. I think they're really concerned with retreading the same ground, fighting the same political fights, enriching the same interests, versus, put Elon Musk or Bill Gates there, and people are like, yeah, okay, follow this person.
Yeah.
Hell,
what do you guys? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, hell, I'll put a pure entertainer up. You could put Oprah Winfrey standing there pointing at space and say, let's go there.
That's so funny. I was just going to bring her up. I was going to say, what about Oprah Winfrey?
I mean, she's built a massive empire for herself and is highly influential. I don't think that she's invented, any super high tech stuff, but there at least is another inspirational person who again, it may just be because she's a public personality, but strikes me as somebody who would actually kind of look out for the interests of the country, as strange as that sounds.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I really do believe that's more important than someone who knows how to build a satellite themselves or anything like that.
Yeah.
Somebody whose heart is in the right place, in other words?
Somebody whose heart's in the right place and who is able to inspire.
Yeah.
A leader. I mean, like an honest-to-God leader, as opposed to someone you dislike less than the other guy.
Honestly, I mean, I just wish during this whole run-up to the election there had been some candidate from rather humble beginnings who was a tireless defender of the people, who had a really good platform, who inspired people, who was against corporate interests, not to vilify corporations, but who was against just runaway, unbalanced capitalism. Somebody who just wanted to give everybody a fair shake. If only there had been a candidate like that in the race who could have come along and just won one party or another's primary. It never came together. Unfortunately, there was just nobody like that I could think of.
I almost hate to go here. This is going to add probably 20 minutes to our show length, but it's such a natural connection. Speaking of Star Trek, you guys remember Next Generation? The episode where I think he was 80 years old, the 80-year-old scientist did one last experiment before his resolution.
Yeah, where he had to go home and kill himself or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm proposing we start a resolution. I don't think you should have to kill yourself, but I don't think you should have any relevancy after 60 or anything like that. The world changes too fast and you have no idea what's going on anymore.
Oh, so do you think that there should be a certain, at a certain age, you should be forced to drop out of portions of society?
You should not be allowed to vote anymore, and you should not be able to run. Well, I mean, I don't know. Running is different because I guess they have all that experience and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would say, especially people are living to 100 regularly now.
See, I want to agree with you because of what you said. The world changes and you're not keeping abreast of what's going on. Therefore, why should you be making decisions, like voting? But, I mean, I'll propose something that will never gain any traction because, unfortunately, this kind of thing has been used unfairly in the past. I mean, I think you go in to vote. There should be a pop quiz. It's just a randomly generated fact about the election. It's is this candidate running for, and A, president, B, senator, C, dog catcher. And if you can't answer that question, I'm sorry, you just don't get to vote. You have no idea what you're doing here.
I don't know. I was raised to be such a blue-blooded American, but I don't believe in everyone being allowed to vote. And I admit, I would probably not qualify much of the time. That's fine with me. My own ignorant opinion is just as invalid as anyone else's.
I wonder about that too, Brian, sometimes. Again, I understand that because of the nation's discriminatory past and disenfranchising groups and disempowering them, we're very careful about saying anything but about even questioning universal suffrage, right? Like, no, everybody should get to vote no matter what. Sometimes I wonder. I talk to people and they really, other than who's running for president, they don't really have any clue what else is on the ballot. And I don't know. And I would group myself in with that group as well, because often I have no idea. I try to do research, so I at least go in as an informed voter. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you should have to like really earn your right to vote and prove that you actually know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know what the fair way to do that would be, but
yeah, then you get into the whole like Jim Crow kind of
right. Well,
thing, you know. Like,
yeah, Cam. That's what I was alluding to. Like we've used that kind of stuff. Be like, oh, you can't vote. You don't know how to do trigonometry. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think you have to over include rather than under include, especially when it comes to something, even though like people sort of scoff at it. I mean, voting is one of the most important rights we have as a human, you know, and as a citizen. So I think you have to over include, you know, unless you are a felon or unless you are, you know, whatever, like you should have the right to vote, even if you're an idiot, because you know what, you live in our society too, even if we don't agree with how you live or what you do, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to include everyone, because if not, then you're just as bad as, you know, the ignorant people that, you know, hate blacks or gays or whatever, you know. So on that front,
I almost think it's okay to be like a little IQist. Never by race, never by, you know, preference or anything like that, but maybe by like viability or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the problem is that like ethnic group, you know, then ethnic groups can say, well, yeah, well, we traditionally don't have as high as an IQ, you know, of an IQ as another ethnic group because of, you know, the oppression and whatever we've had to face for however many years.
Right. I actually think that we could come up with a solution like that. Right now, the Earth is like salted. That's never gonna like take root.
Right.
You got to wait a few generations for the scars of the past and the racial discrimination to pass. But in the future, I don't know, when people are all reasonably convinced that there's not like systemic discrimination against one group or another based on, you know, arbitrary things like skin color, etc. I don't know. It could work. Like maybe only people that give a shit should vote. I'm not. I
mean, listen, I'm all for Starship Troopers, man. Like, you know,
or earn it.
Yeah, you got to earn it, man. You know, military service or, you know, some kind of other, some kind of service to society. You know, whether it be military or whether it be intellectual or whether it be whatever. You got to earn your citizenship. You don't just get it handed to you.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk about the future, I'll go out on a limb and predict and be hopeful for. I think we're going to be ruled by like 12 AI at some point.
You think so? They're just going to like rule the world?
Imagine like the ideas that Google's algorithm and Amazon's algorithm and probably Facebook's algorithm, like all of those things, like comparing notes and contrasting that they could come up with. Well, again, in the future, once we've figured out all the, you know, finances and all of the self-interest and everything, like 12 altruistic rulers with nothing at stake whatsoever, nothing to profit, nothing to lose, like just what is best for humanity in mind.
I mean, there's no arguing that would be awesome. If you could truly program away self-interest and just have these entities that exist solely for the betterment of humanity, I think that could be awesome.
It could, if the betterment of humanity, you know, isn't to cull the herd and kill, you know, 65% of the population.
Yeah, you'd have to instill in
the far future after all that.
You'd have to instill in them a sense that, you know, life is precious and every human has a right to exist, and the notion of basic human rights would have to be like core to these AIs. And
what are those laws? The laws of robot. I'm mixing up. Asimov. So I was thinking of the three laws from stupid iRobot, but Asimov's laws.
I think those are the same.
Kind of the same.
Yeah, no, they're different. But
Like
yeah,
the Hollywood version of Asimov's laws.
Yeah.
Thou shalt kick ass. Yeah. Yeah, I think any AI would have to. Of course, then if it's a living sentient being, it has to ask, well, why am I subservient to humanity?
Mm-hmm.
But it would have to be beyond that asking. It would have to be like, of course, I'm here to serve my fellow human being. As it would have to be like this. It would have to adhere very strictly to the golden rule. Like I would treat everybody else as I wish they would treat me. But if you could get a non-self-interested artificial intelligence or collection of them and have them agree to work in the interest of everybody but themselves and like really feel that that's their purpose, you can have a great world, but people would rebel against it because like the self-interested would be like, I want unfair advantage. And the AIs would explain why that wasn't the case. And
yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have to put the AI in charge either. I mean, you could like just plug in like whatever. Okay, what's our next course of action, and then have the humans carry that out. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't have to like give them Skynet control. You know what I mean?
But if the humans are executing on the plan, you'd have to convince the humans. And so they're like, we all want like 90-cylinder SUVs because they're badass. I've calculated that that's a bad idea. We don't care what you calculated. We want them. I mean, people are just stupid, short-sighted, greedy, and self-centered. And
yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It would have to be like, all right, we are turning over the decision-making of certain things to this AI, and then we have these designated officials that are elected or whoever that are, that will carry out the AI. I mean, those will become the new, instead of having all these idiots in Congress and the Senate and whatever fucking around and fighting over shit and just trying to do what's best for themselves, you have the AI that makes the laws and makes the rules, and then you have the executive branch carrying that out or whatever.
It might even work. Like, let's just call it, what is it, 612? Let's just call it 612 AIs, and we vote them in for local representatives, and just remove the personalities from politics, and get down to the actual issues.
Yeah, like each AI is programmed to represent your specific district or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you've got 2 AIs for, as senators. Maybe even make one Republican, one Democrat, so they have to compromise.
I like it.
Yeah, and basically it's just like an algorithm. It just spits it out and says, look, all right, based on all these factors, this is what we need to do. And then we have to carry that out. That's the law. That's the new law.
This is what benefits the most people the most.
Right.
End of story. There's no debate over that.
Yeah.
I like that. And Tom, you said like, oh, we all want these cool SUVs. We're not going to have SUVs in probably 50 years. No one's going to own a car. And you're right. People aren't going to like that, but that's the way it's going.
Well, they might own cars, but they're not going to be how they are now, obviously.
I don't even think they'll own them. I mean, maybe 50 years, maybe like 100 years, but I just think they'll be a service. Those things will exist, and you'll register them and hop in them, but you won't have any idea. You'll have 5 different cars if you take 5 different trips. You won't have any idea of ownership of this cool car.
I agree. I don't think that's going to be a hard transition for people, though. And for the simple reason that like people don't.
100 years ago, people rode horses.
No, I get you. But you're not. The same problem then remains now. Like, okay, I'm taking away your horse, but I'm giving you like this mechanical horse that's faster and better. Oh, okay. We have such a extreme degree of individualism.
Yeah.
At least in our society, that it's unconscionable that I would give up, or that anybody would give up their absolute freedom to do everything they want in exchange for for the greater good, right? Like, think about that. People really, really, really bristle at the notion that they might have to like curb their behavior so that everybody else doesn't get screwed over. Just suggest that maybe somebody conserve, period. Like, hey, maybe use a little electricity. Oh, it's my freedom to do my freedom.
I think that's on a downtrend.
I sure as hell hope so.
Today, I agree with you. 3 generations from now, I don't know, man.
This election, it's hard to agree with that, but we'll see what.
I mean, I would say that I fall down closer to that category than everything, we should all share everything category. Like, I like my individual freedom, but at the same time, I feel like I'm pretty responsible about it. Even though I like my individual freedom, I still drive a hybrid. You know what I mean? I made the choice to do that. No one made me do that. I did it on purpose. But like, you know, I like that. I bristle at the notion that I won't be able to have my own car. You know what I mean? If I want to have, I want the option at least, you know, but the problem is that if you give one person the option, you got to give everyone the option. And then you get these idiot yahoos that, you know, want to have a 3 miles to the gallon Hummer. You know what I mean? But Brian, I think you're right. I think it's like we've talked about before, evolution, you know, it's just, hopefully the planet can hold out as the dummies die off and the enlightened continue to push the society forward, you know?
Let's hope. I'm not so sure.
We can make the next 4 years. We can make the next 100.
Yeah, it all comes down to surviving this election, really.
What about Clint Eastwood?
I don't.
God.
I like him as an actor, but I don't really. What's his political? What's his political bent?
I think just being fucking badass. Like, he's just like an old ass cool guy, you know? Like, just, you know.
I'm just trying to imagine him like negotiating a trade deal. I don't know.
Man, if you gave somebody that stare, they'd fold like a cheap suit.
What do you mean? What do you mean you want? What do you mean you want to sell things back to us?
Yeah. Trade subsidy. Bullshit. You know?
Oh gosh.
I feel like he'd be an awesome president. Him or Mark Cuban. I'd go for Mark Cuban too.
Now he's the guy that owns
the Dallas Mavericks. He's the quirkier, funnier, like more party guy version of Elon Musk, basically.
Oh, isn't he on a TV show about like?
Yeah, he's on Shark Tank.
Yeah, he seems kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean he owns the Dallas Mavericks and he loves basketball, but I mean he made his money in like the tech sector and then became a billionaire and then sold out like just in time. Yeah, and then now like he owns the Dallas Mavericks, he owns a bunch of other companies, he does Shark Tank, he does movies and TV and stuff like that. But like I said, he's the more fun version of Elon Musk. So like if we had to pick like a tech billionaire, like he would probably be my second choice.
Okay, all right, I could maybe go with that one. What do you guys think about? Man, I just had somebody else in mind. Another famous rich person. Damn, it was I want to say it was a tech billionaire too, but I can't think of who the hell it was now. Drawing a blank. It'll come to me.
How about we upload Stephen Hawking's consciousness into a computer, and that's the supreme overlord.
I think he's too smart. He would just spend all his days thinking and not really be interested in solving the petty problems of this world.
The answer is 42.
Well, okay. Speaking of like brilliant, like celebrity physicists, that leaves that brings up a few extra ones who would probably also come up with the answer of 42. Cam, you could have. Well, he's not a physicist, but you could have Bill Nye. There's a nice guy who'd be.
Yeah, but he's kind of a clown, Bill Nye.
Okay, he's a little clownish. All right, what about Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I like him. Neil deGrasse is good.
Neil Tyson could work. Okay. What about you guys know who Michio Kaku is?
Love him. The long hair Asian guy. Yeah, he's cool.
I really like him too. Now I'm going just based on like it'd be cool to have these nerds in charge. What about? Let me think about it. Oh, what about LeVar Burton?
I don't think like.
No way, man. Think about it.
Only if he wore the Geordie visor.
Yeah, he would wear the Geordie visor, and then like every week he would have like a little reading thing in the White House. So like you have to take my word for it.
Yeah, and then he would he'd recreate Roots.
He'd recreate Roots, but it would be a more diverse cast. Instead of just white and black, there'd be like Latinos and Asian people too.
Yeah.
I don't know why he would do that. That would just be like that. Just seems appropriate.
Just be like on the White House lawn, like, my name is Kunta Kinte.
Wait. let's reimagine slavery.
Yeah.
My name is Zhang Lu. Cool.
My name is Pedro Martinez. No, I mean LeVar Burton. That'd be funny.
No, I don't know. I'm just pulling like kind of people I consider nerdy celebrities out of the hat now. Come on, let's face it. Almost anybody we pick is better than these two.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're talking about celebrities, like I just like Tom Hanks. I just think he's like a good guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd probably vote for him.
I think Tom Hanks would be brilliant because he's the kind of guy that strikes me as I don't want to do it, but if I have to, I'll get it done right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would like grudgingly take the job.
I only think of him because today I saw him do. It was something on Facebook where like one of his like biggest fans caught him or whatever, like on the street, and he's like, "Hey, will you do that like the rap from Big with me? I know it by heart." And he just like busted out. They like did a duet together, like just like impromptu, and he like he still remembers all the words to that.
Wow, that's really cool.
It's really cool. Yeah. I mean, he just took time out of his day to like do that with a guy, you know.
That's a nice guy. Let's have him as president.
I mean, to me, really, that's what it comes down to. I just want a good person in office. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care so much about experience. I don't care so much about, you know, whether or not they're a good businessman or whatever. I just want a good person that's going to like look at a situation and be like, okay, what is best for the country? Not what's going to like cover my ass. Not what's going to like look the best in the polls. Not what's going to like, you know, make me the most money. It's what is going to benefit the country.
I like that notion a lot. And, you know, for
Republican or Democrat, I don't care. Libertarian, whatever. Tea Party, I don't give a shit about that. I just want someone that's good, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for all I know, the two leading candidates are really, really good people. It's just that their position.
Come on, I can't believe we can even get that sentence out.
It's hard. It's just that everything I know about them seems to indicate otherwise. But
yeah.
You know,
that's true. They're allegedly good. They're allegedly not good people. I'm sure they're great. They're fine.
Right.
I don't want to get calls from the Secret Service or sued. but you know what I mean.
Actually, I wouldn't mind a little Secret Service like bump if they want to. If they want to start some stuff with us, maybe get the FBI involved, have them look at us.
That's the next scandal, nerd extravaganza.
Man, if we could get Hillary to send us an email or something, that would be fantastic.
I'll delete it immediately.
It'll be too late. They'll already know it was sent. Oh, yeah, don't delete it for added controversy.
Exactly. I'll be like, I didn't know it was classified.
Where are Hillary's 50,000 emails and 30,000 emails, and then the one she sent to the nerd extravaganza? Where are they?
Yeah. Why did we have to keep it? Why doesn't she have it on her private email server?
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Then she would call us deplorable, and Trump would want our email. It would be great.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Great election. Good time to be alive. This is how much. So for folks from outside the U.S., this is how. If you want to know what Americans think about this, if you think we're nuts for the people we put up there. Honestly, a lot of us don't like these choices and are not happy. So,
yeah.
To our international listeners, we apologize that one of these two is going to have outsized influence on the world for the next 4 years.
Well,
if we last that long.
All I can think of is like Trump and Putin like sitting in a hot tub, like, so who are we going to kill next? Oh man.
And then Putin will suggest somebody that Trump will be like, wrong.
No, it's got to be huge. It's got to be someone. It's got to be someone that's
huge.
spectacular. It's got to be someone that's going to make a huge splash.
Bin Laden. I want Bin Laden dead, but he's already dead.
Okay, what about his son? What
about his son? No, he wouldn't accept it. He'd be like, "Who? What do you mean he's dead? Who killed him? Who told you that?" Well, no, I mean Obama killed him. Wrong. Lies. Wrong. Crooked Putin. Oh man. Sorry, I don't mean to imply that I'm anti-Trump or anything. He's terrific. He's just terrific, and so is Hillary. It's going to be a great election. The American people and the world will no matter. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be terrific. And
We're gonna have the best people in the best positions.
yes, and we're better together. And I think that no matter what, America and the world, we're all going to win.
Yes, we're gonna make the world great again.
Yes. Don't forget together. That's Hillary's slogan.
Together, exactly.
Better together. Okay, guys, anything else? I think we have nominated a few candidates. I think we've got people to think that they can be a little more creative. We hope we inspired our audience to just write in anybody they want. That's about as effective as voting for a third party, which I may or may not have definitely probably done. So
cast my annual vote for Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Feel free to follow our advice, people. It is your vote. You're free to do with it as you wish.
Rock the vote.
Yeah. What was it? Was it Puffy? Vote or die. Vote or die.
Diddy runs the city.
Yeah.
I think he ran like a marathon or something for that vote or die thing.
What did that mean, vote or die? What was he? Was he thinking people were going to be drafted or something? Or
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like ride or die. I don't know. All right. Anything else, guys, before we get out to the polling places to agitate for our favorite candidates?
That's it.
All right. Okay. I'm off to start my new career as a political thug on behalf of one party or the other, intimidating the voters of the other party, which I'm told is actually a thing that's happening. But
yes,
bad. Okay. With that said, though, I will not bring my gang of thugs to your door and intimidate you if you vote for our podcast every week by checking us out on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and we were added on a fourth service, and again the name eludes me. It eluded me last week as well. Pocket Cast, right?
Yep.
Yes. We were really glad to be picked up by them. So check us out on any of those venues, and if there are others where you find us, let us know. We'll plug them too.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, add us to your Google Plus circle, and join the Nerdstravaganza HQ group on Facebook.
Cast a line on over to nerdstravaganza.com and check out our amazing website. Write in Nerdstravaganza into the handy-dandy search bar on YouTube and check out all of our video content. And shoot us an email at nerdstravaganza@gmail.com and let us know who you are going to be writing in on your vote.
And with that said, political activist Brian, take us away.
I am not a crook.
But he was. He was.
He totally was. He completely was.
Just a politician.
Wrong.
Yeah, it's synonymous, basically.
Wrong. Lies. Stopping broadcast.